You're on your phone, barely reading. A photo stops you. Someone from your school year, standing in front of a car that is clearly theirs. 10 seconds earlier you scrolled past a billionaire's yacht and felt nothing. This has a name. Relative deprivation. Your mind never measures what you have. It measures the distance between you and the people it has decided are your equals. You think what you just felt was envy. It isn't. It is closer to a verdict. And a verdict needs one more ingredient before it will fire. That ingredient is why the yacht cost you nothing and the car cost you your afternoon. It is the whole point of this video. First, look at how much of your life this thing is quietly running. Your mind does not own a scale. It owns a ruler with no zero on it. It cannot tell you how much you have. It can only tell you the distance between you and something else, and it is extremely picky about what that something else is. You did not feel poor when you woke up. You felt poor at 9:40 in the morning for about 4 minutes because of a photograph. Your bank balance had not moved. Your rent had not moved. Nothing outside your screen had changed by a single unit. It happens at work when someone mentions a number. It happens in a group chat when somebody announces something. It happens when a friend you have not seen in a while has clearly had a better year than you. And every time, what shifts is not your circumstances. It is the ruler. Once you can see that, the strangest finding in the history of this field stops being strange. The Second World War. Samuel Stouffer, a sociologist, spends the war running surveys for the U.S. Army. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers, asked how they feel about their lives, their officers, their chances. In 1949, he and his colleagues published the results, and one of them refuses to make sense. The units with the fastest promotion rates had the most bitterness about promotion. The Air Corps moved men up quickly. Air Corps men were the angriest about it. The military police almost never got promoted and complained the least. By every objective measure, the angry men were the lucky ones. Stouffer's answer was that the soldiers were not comparing themselves to the army. They were comparing themselves to the men they actually saw. A military policeman measured himself against other military policemen, not against airmen he almost never met. Soldiers stationed in the South measured themselves against civilians in the South, not against soldiers in the North who were out of view. Satisfaction, Stouffer concluded, is relative to the comparisons that happen to be available to you. Absolute conditions predicted almost nothing. Who was standing next to you predicted almost everything. That was a survey, and a survey can only show you a pattern. 60 years later, 4 economists tested the same thing on purpose. David Card, Alexander Moss, Enrico Moretti, and Emmanuel Saez used the University of California, where by law every employee's salary is public information. Almost nobody knew the website existed. So the researchers told a randomly chosen group of staff about it, waited, and then surveyed everybody. The people who discovered they earned below the median for their own job and their own department reported lower pay satisfaction, lower job satisfaction, and a sharp rise in the intention to leave. The people who discovered they earned above the median reported nothing. No lift. No relief. Nothing at all. Think about what that means. The information could only hurt. There was no upside to it anywhere in the sample. Half of them found out they were fine and felt no better for it. The other half found out they were behind and started looking for a way out. Not one person's pay had changed. Only what they knew had changed. And there was a detail underneath the result. What predicted the damage was not how much less someone earned. It was how far down the list they sat. Rank, not amount. You already act on this, whether or not you would admit it. In 1995, 2 Harvard researchers, Sarah Solnick and David Hemingway, put a question to 257 people. Would you rather earn $50,000 a year in a world where everyone around you earns $25,000, or $100,000 in a world where everyone around you earns $200,000? About half chose the $50,000. Half of them volunteered to be poorer, in real terms, by half, in exchange for standing above the people near them. Now the ingredient. In 2012, a team led by Heather Smith went back over the entire literature on relative deprivation, more than 200 studies and over 180,000 people, and found that the effect only holds together when 4 things happen in sequence. You compare. You conclude you came out worse. You judge that outcome to be unfair. And you resent it. All 4. Take away the unfairness, and the feeling does not appear at all. That is the ingredient, and it changes what this whole thing is. Relative deprivation is not a wanting circuit. It is a fairness circuit. That is why what you felt does not behave like sadness. Sadness is what arrives when you simply have less. This is hot. It has a defendant, which is why the yacht was harmless. A verdict needs a case, and a case needs two comparable parties. Peter Salovey and Jacqueline Rodin demonstrated this in 1984. The sting requires someone similar to you, doing better than you, in a domain that matters to how you see yourself. Remove any one of those three and nothing fires. The billionaire fails the first condition before the other two are even reached. He is not in your category. There is no case to hear. So the yacht goes past harmlessly. So does the jet. So does the island. And the car belonging to somebody who sat 2 rows behind you does not. You are not calibrated to want more. You are calibrated to detect a result you did not deserve. And the only people who can trigger that are people close enough to you that the comparison feels legitimate. Before you decide the machinery is broken, ask what the alternative would look like. Suppose your mind could only report absolute quantities. It tells you, you earn $60,000 a year. Now try to decide something with that. Should you ask for more? Should you change field? Should you have taken the other offer? The number cannot answer any of it. 60,000 is generous or insulting depending entirely on what the people doing your job are paid, and there is no way to work out which from inside the number itself. Rank answers all 3 questions in one step. That is why the instrument measures rank. It is not a design flaw, and it is not a character defect. Ranking is the only measurement that is any use for a decision. The problem was never the instrument. The problem is what you are feeding it. That detector runs on a sample of people, and it treats the sample as the world. For almost everyone who has ever lived, the sample was small and it was accidental. Your street, your workplace, your village, a few dozen faces, a couple of hundred at most. And the crucial thing about those faces is that they were near you for reasons that had nothing to do with how well they were doing. Urzo Lutmer found in 2005 that this still holds at the level of a local area. Hold someone's income steady, raise the average income around them, and the happiness they report falls. But a local area is at least a random draw. What you get now is not. The sample you get now is assembled. A feed does not hand you a random slice of people like you. It hands you the one something happened to. The promotion, the keys, the ring, the launch, the offer. Nobody posts the flat year. Nobody posts the Tuesday where nothing moved. So your detector receives a steady stream of people it correctly identifies as your equals. Same age, same start, same field, and every single one of them is having the best month of their decade. Your brain did the arithmetic correctly. It was handed the wrong sheet. And it will do it again today. You will open something, and it will show you a person who began where you began, standing at the highest point of their year, and the detector will do the only thing it can do. It will return a verdict. And that verdict will feel like information about your life. It is information about your sample. There is one last finding worth carrying out of this. In 2012, Cameron Anderson and his colleagues at Berkeley compared 2 kinds of status. How much money and education a person has, and how much respect they hold inside the groups they actually stand in, the friends, the co-workers, the people who know their name. Across 4 studies, including one that followed people over time, the second predicted well-being clearly and moved with them. When standing inside their own small groups rose, they felt better. When it fell, they felt worse. Money and education barely predicted anything. The ladder that moves how you feel is the short one, the one in the room. Your mind still has no scale, only that ruler, with no 0 on it, measuring a distance. The only thing you get to choose is what it is measuring against. Sitting there, thumb moving, barely reading, looking at a car belonging to somebody you have not spoken to in 9 years.